This is quite possibly the strongest I have ever felt in Destiny, and god does it feel great to be making another build video inside of Destiny. Hello everyone, my name is ERATTIC, and today I'm going to be showing off my solar subclass Warlock build I use in just about everything. Remember, if you see anything you like in today's video, please be sure to hit the like and subscribe for more. We are currently at 475 subscribers, which is great, but I'm looking to see if we can hit that 500 sub goal. We are so close, and I'm hoping you'll be the one that gets me there. So in this video today, I'm going to be showing you guys my solar subclass Warlock build, which specializes in fusion grenades. So I'm calling it more a fusion nades build. Would like to mention quickly that this is not the be all end all for this particular build, meaning if you find something that works better than what I've got for today, then that's great, but if you're looking for similar results as to what I'm doing inside my gameplay, then I recommend you pay close attention to what I'm using. Please use this build guide as an overall template and refine it to your needs and playstyle. This time round, I will break it down in the order of the subclass with its aspects, abilities and fragments, then the overall stats, then the armor with the mods, and then the weapons of choice, and finally how the build works and recommendations. This will all be timestamped in the description of this video if you wish to skip to a particular part of the video that you may be more interested in. So jumping right into the solar subclass, we have for our super the Well of Radiance. You can choose Dawnblade, but for PvE content I mostly prefer this one. My abilities are Empowering Rift, must be used for reasons I'll explain later, Burst Glide, Celestial Fire I find more reliable, and Fusion Grenades, which must be used for reasons I'll explain later too. For my aspects, I like to run Icarus Dash, which allows me to dodge in the air and apply Cure to myself whilst I get rapid kills with my weapons and super. And I like to use Touch of Flame, which allows to enhance my solar grenades, and more specifically my Fusion Grenade to explode twice. For my fragments, I like to use Ember of Solace, which makes our radiant and restoration effects that are applied to ourselves last longer. Ember of Searing, defeating scorched targets gives melee energy and also gives us 10 recovery. Ember of Wonder, killing multiple targets with solar ignitions generates orbs of power, also gives us 10 resilience. And finally, Ember of Torches, which makes you and nearby allies radiant when you hit a combatant with a fully charged melee. Moving on to the overall stats I've got, and you really want to be looking for 100 discipline so you can bring the grenade cooldown to the shortest amount of time. It's also worth considering having as much resilience as you can due to the changes that were made to it, making it more important. At 100 like mine, you can be granted up to a 40% damage reduction, which is really nice for higher tiers of content. And finally, consider having roughly 50 intellect, so you can have your super comeback at a reasonable rate. Anything past that isn't really worth as much value to you as those first 5 tiers. As you can see, I have a triple 100 build, which is nice, giving me max resil, recov and discipline. The problem with this is that all the restoration effects going on almost negate the need for recovery at max, and my intellect is quite low, but I do have mods to work around this. Moving on to the armor and mods now, starting from the helmet, we have Harmonic Siphon, which gives us orbs when we get weapon kills matching our subclass. Unquenchable Thirst, a seasonal mod that increases the effect to Excess trait and the Soul Drinker's healing trait. And Font of Wisdom, picking up an elemental well that matches your subclass, grants you a temporary significant increase to your intellect, which is how I sort my low intellect issue in my build. On the gloves, I use Fastball to increase the throw distance of grenades and to be more accurate as fusion grenades can stick. And I have Elemental Ordnance, defeating a combatant with a grenade spawns an elemental well that matches the subclass energy type. On the chest, I am using the star of the show, and more importantly the Starfire Protocol exotic chest piece, which comes with the perk Fusion Harness. Fusion grenades have an additional charge and recharge from empowered weapon damage. Fusion grenade kills grant rift energy. I'll explain at the end how this starts to get a bit crazy. The mods I have slotted are Armor of the Dying, a seasonal mod which gives me damage reduction for Solar and Void. I have Sniper Damage Resistance, which reduces incoming damage from long range. And I have Explosive Well Maker, which gives me elemental wells when I rapidly kill combatants with explosive damage. On the legs, I have Absolution, which reduces all ability cooldowns when I pick up an orb. I have Recuperation, which replenishes my health when I pick up orbs. and I have Well of Life, which gives me increased regeneration of health when I pick up a well for a short period. Finally, at the Bond, I have another star of the show, honestly, being Classy Restoration, a seasonal mod, which allows me to gain restoration when I activate my class ability. And my final mod is Well of Ordnance, which gives me some grenade energy back when I pick up an elemental well. So I'm just going to go over weapons really quickly because there's so many viable ones, but I'm just showing out my particular ones I like to use. So for the primary slot, I do like to use Submission because it's a very high RPM SMG, which helps me get my grenades back really quick when I'm standing in the rift. If I'm not using a Submission, then I'm probably using a Wither Horde, which is great because Wither Horde helps with consistent damage. And I also like using the exotic Osteostriga because of the dot damage that it does over time on targets, which is amazing. I also like to use the Dead Messenger because it helps with ad clearing if I haven't got my grenades, and also comes with turnabout, so I can also get those overshields if I need one, and it can switch to whatever element I want if I am not able to use solar efficiently. Callous Minotaur is a great option here as well because it's a new seasonal weapon which comes with a great trait and allows you to get those elemental well mods a lot easier for this build. And then in the heavy slot, I like to use Storm Chaser because it's an absolute beast of a weapon at the moment for the heavy slot. I don't particularly have a great one, but any sort of Storm Chaser at the moment is doing really good damage. And if I don't need damage, I'm using a sword from the 30th anniversary, either the Arc or the Void one, which comes with the Eager Edge, which can help me with the movement because I'm on less than 3 mobility, so it's quite nice if I need that extra movement. So here I am now showing how the build works inside of the weekly preservation mission inside of Witch Queen, and wanted to go over how it works. So as you can see in the background gameplay with 10 resilience and how I pop my class ability, which gives me restoration from my seasonal class mod, it looks like I'm being tickled. So for starters, the survivability is great. Next, the fusion grenades go crazy too because of the aspect Touch of Flame to make the fusion explode twice, and the only reason it's insane is because the damage on a regular fusion before was great, but now it's insane because the second explosion does slightly more than the first, meaning you get between 70 to 80,000 damage numbers with it on. Thanks to Starfire Protocol, we can have 2 of these sitting in our pocket ready to go, but the exotic gives us a very easy and lazy rotation with this build where I can pop my E-Rift down and start earning back that grenade energy when I'm doing damage in my rift. Not kill, just damage, which means if I stick on something like a high RPM SMG on for my primary, then they start to come back really quick. Then with everything synergizing, I can end up overlapping my rifts. If I get enough grenade kills and pick up some wells along the way, which can possibly give me infinite health regen via the restoration effect. This build still comes with the capability of being able to do single target damage by putting down an E-Rift and using my Celestial Fire to give me a Radiant buff, which both stack to give me crazy weapon damage, which really helps in the Duality dungeon at the moment. So lastly, looking at the recommendations and just looking at other potential things you can use in the build and what you can do with it. So what you can do mechanically with this build is, say you don't have any rift but you want to generate that grenade energy back, then you can simply just put down a Well of Radiance, which will allow you to get your grenade energy back just like the E-Rift can, as long as you're doing consistent damage to a target. Plus, don't feel bummed out at the end of a damage phase when the boss goes immune. Instead, pop the E-Rift or continue to do damage inside of one if you haven't yet already, and get that grenade energy back, as it still counts towards you doing damage. As for other mods in this build, you could go with the Charge with Light route and use firepower and regain portions of grenade energy after you have thrown one, which can also stack. I haven't tried this out myself, but if anyone else does try it out, let me know in the comments down below. I could have also put on the stasis mod Time Dilation, which allows me to stack time benefited mods, and for that reason then I could have used more Well of Life mods. And for fragments, things like Ember of Singeing, Ember of Malevolence, Ember of Empyrean, Ember of Eruption, Ember of Blistering, and Ember of Char are all really great options. Honestly, for the solar subclass, I think there's a lot of great solar fragment choices, so it's just more of a case of choosing and picking whatever you think feels best, but just making sure you take into consideration if you need any extra stats in your build, or if you need to get down that rotation easier with particular fragments. And that is going to be it for the end of this video. Guys, if you watched all the way to the end or even just watched a segment of my video, I really appreciate it. This was a long one and it's taken a little bit longer than usual than what I do on my normal builds. So guys, if you enjoyed this, hit the like button. Again, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to leave anything in the comments below, I'll be sure to read them. And I'll see you all in the next one.